Then we will go towards subacute bacterial endocarditis. Okay. So, bacterial endocarditis, there are three types of diseases. Rheumatic heart disease, that is rheumatic fever, bacterial endocarditis, and subacute bacterial endocarditis. Now about rheumatic fever. Rheumatic fever is an acute immunologically mediated multisystem inflammatory disease that occurs a few weeks following streptococcal pharyngitis that we discussed last time. That is, the origin of this particular disease is by streptococcal sore throat, and that this disease occurs after some few weeks after that particular infection. This is a disease of children, young adults, in which inflammation affects to the connective tissue at many sites, of which heart is the most important organ which shows this particular disease. And we are going to study with the changes which occurs at the level of heart mainly. So etiologically, streptococcal sore throat. The age is commonly 5 to 15 years of age group is commonly get affected. This is the pathogenic genetic sequel of this particular disease. That is, first there is sore throat, and then this particular organism, it affects the immune system. Here it affects to the lymph node, that is tonsillar lymph nodes in the throat. Then B lymphocytes get excited, and then there is anti-streptococcal antibodies, they get formed. Now these complexes, they travel through the blood antigen anti-complexes, and they will affect the heart, that is leaflets or valvular leaflets of the heart, which shows this vegetations. These are the vegetations, these are the overgrowth. And this is myocardial Ashoff's body, we discussed about that in last lecture, and fibrinous pericarditis. So these are the three main affections in case of acute rheumatic fever. It is classically and nicely given in this particular diagram. Now peak incidence is between 7 to 8 years. It is rare before the age of 5 and after 30. Females, they are more prone to get this particular disease. Then lesions, they are proliferative and exudative lesions. Proliferative lesions, this lesion occurs in the heart with formation of Ashoff's body. They are commonly found in the myocardium. Okay, these are the proliferative lesions. We discussed about this Ashoff's body, that is centrally granular or hyaline debris with large mononuclear cells, some with multiple nuclei. Then there is perivascular cellular infiltration, then edema. It is associated with infiltration of lymphocytes, monocytes between the muscle fibers. Okay, Ashoff's body is, it is all about the Ashoff's body. Here, this Ashoff's bodies, they look like this. During acute rheumatic fever, this diffuse inflammation and Ashoff's bodies may be found in any of the three layers of heart. It may be present in the pericardium, or it may be present in the myocardium, or it may be present in the endocardium. Now, exudative lesions. What about proliferative lesions? Proliferative lesions, they are related with the formation of Ashoff's bodies and Ashoff's nodules in the proliferative lesions. Okay, maybe in the myocardium, or maybe in the pericardium, endocardium, that is endocardial valvular lesions, they are more prone to get this particular affections. This is all about the proliferative lesions. In what is the Ashoff's nodules? Ashoff's bodies, they are the necrotic areas which found in the myocardium. The centrally, they get necrosed, and They are with nuclei, vesicular nuclei get surrounded with the granular cytoplasm. Okay, these are the giant cells, giant elongated cells, Aschoff cells. They are giant and elongated cells get surrounded with the inflammatory cells, and later on this gets surrounded by the fibrosis and the capillaries. They get transferred into the granulation tissues. Okay, so this is all about of Aschoff's bodies. They are the proliferative lesions in the rheumatic fever. The exudative lesions commonly found in the joints. Then the large joints get affected first, then small joints. Joints become hot, tender, and swollen. The joint fluid is cloudy. Although it is cloudy, it is sterile in nature. We could not find out any organism in that particular fluid, so we call it as a sterile fluid. The similar lesions may occur in the pericardium, giving rise to rheumatic pericarditis with effusion. Okay, sometimes it may be associated with the fibrinous pericarditis. Okay, then endocardial lesions of this particular disease. Here, the endocardium of mitral wall is affected the most. Then the next one is aortic wall, then the tricuspid wall. So here there is multiple tiny body firm braid-like nodules arranged in the row along with the margin of the wall. At the point where the wall get closes, at the margin, this tiny body braid-like nodules they get formed, and later on they get transferred into the vegetations. See here in this particular diagram, this is showing acute rheumatic valvulitis, that is mitral. This is the mitral wall, and at the margin where this wall get closes, here there is formation of this nodules. This is nodular arrangement, tiny body growths. They get formed in the margins of the valvular appendix where it get closes. Okay. Now these lesions, they are firm and adherent and known as rheumatic vegetations, and this is associated with the inflammatory process. That is, what is the inflammatory process? There is aggregation of macrophages, there is plasma cells, leukocytes, various leukocytes, then exudate, edema, and fibroblast and capillaries invades these vegetations, forming them in the or transfer them in the granulation tissue. Ultimately, the wall become thick and calcified. Now, anatomical changes we discussed last time, that is wall orifice get narrowed, producing stenosis and incompetence. What is stenosis? What is incompetence? I told you in last lecture. Okay, the wall become thick and rigid. The mitral opening become permanently narrowed, forming funnel-shaped orifice. Now, the myocardial lesions, formation of Aschoff nodules, pericardial lesion, pericarditis, rheumatic pericarditis. Then extracardiac lesions, that is joints get affected, then pleurisy with effusion, and nervous system get affected in rheumatic affections. That is, we call it as Sydenham chorea, in which there is uncontrolled movements of extremities occurs. We call it as chorea, Sydenham chorea. So it is due to diffuse meningoencephalitis. Then clinical pathological symptoms, mitral systolic murmur, presystolic murmur, pericardial friction rib, auricular fibrillation. Lab diagnosis, throat culture, serological test, ESR, and leukocytosis, anemia. There is increased HGOT levels and prolonged PR intervals. Okay. Then bacterial endocarditis, that is, it is also called as infective endocarditis, ulcerative, malignant, and it has very rapid course, less than 6 weeks. Etiology, it is secondary to septicemia, resulting in the complication of some primary infection. That is, this infection may get traveled from boils, carbuncles, osteomyelitis, or any lung infection of prostate or uterus. Now the lesions, mitral wall and aortic wall commonly get affected. Here, the lesions, they are moreover ulcerative, causes destruction of the valvular cusps, and there is formation of large vegetations on the wall and the chordotendony. The cusps of walls may get perforated and chordotendony may get destroyed. So these lesions in case of bacterial endocarditis are destructive, moreover destructive. There are ulcerations get developed beneath this valvular endocardium. So this is a picture of bacterial endocarditis. Here the walls of left heart is opened up and the mitral wall on the atrial, that is superior surface, shows irregular and soft elevated gray areas. These are the soft elevated gray areas of varying size. Okay. So this is the picture of bacterial endocarditis. Now the next one is, this is the again picture of this vegetations, outer layer, bacterial colonies, necrotic debris, congestion. This is the valvular leaflet on which these vegetations get developed. Vegetations are nothing but the finger-like projections. Okay. Then microscopically view pathogenesis, there is virulent pyogenic bacteremia of Streptococcus viridis 60%, Staphylococcus aureus, then many of them get destroyed by the body's defense mechanism. Okay, but some get adhered to the platelets and are deposited on the rough surface of the disease wall that we discussed last time. Then there is bacterial proliferations mixed with fibrin, platelets and leukocytes in varying form, forming the vegetations get developed, that is they get transferred into large vegetations with this all the inflammatory background. Vegetations are large and they are crumbling. Now there is a loose mixture of organisms and fibrin, mainly in cellular debris. The local defects, rapid destruction. Then because of destruction, there is embolism. Suppurative lesions, main organs are involved are brain and kidney. The toxic effects, severe pyrexia, leukocytosis, and with rapid course, it leading to death. Then next, this topic we are going to discuss today, that is subacute bacterial endocarditis. Etiology is Streptococcus viridis, producing friable vegetations. What is friable? That is delicate vegetations in affected walls. The embolic phenomena is more prominent in this because of friability of the vegetation. Sorry. The predisposing factors for this subacute bacterial endocarditis is rheumatic endocarditis, then congenital disease like patent ductus arteriosus or bicuspid aortic valve, then syphilitic aortitis and atheroma of aorta. These are the predisposing factors of subacute bacterial endocarditis. Then lesions, there are three types of lesions of subacute bacterial endocarditis: cardiac lesion, embolic lesion and general lesion. Cardiac lesion, the mitral wall is commonly get affected, pathogenesis, the implantation of infective organism on an already injured or roughened wall. The walls it get already injured or get roughened due to infection or due to some deformity or due to some predisposing factors. This organisms they get uh, implanted on this roughened walls. The lesions they are proliferative and more proliferative than destructive. The vegetations they are more prone to get extend from mitral wall to posterior wall of left auricle or up to the chordae tendineae and from aortic wall to the wall of ventricles. This is the uh, proliferation of this vegetation, that is from mitral wall up to the left auricle wall, posterior wall of left auricle or chordae tendineae, and from aortic wall it get extended up to the wall of ventricles. Okay. Now, due to deposition of vegetation, the chordae tendineae may become weak and get rupture, leading to acute incompetence of the mitral wall. The next is the microscopically, the vegetations consist of eosinophilic necrotic tissues and hyaline masses of fused platelets, fibrin and leukocytes with bacteria. Sometimes Aschoff cells may be present. Myocardial lesions, there are formation of tiny abscess called as brachiovacuolar bodies. So microscopically, there is eosinophilic necrotic material, necrotic tissues with hyaline masses of fused platelets with this involvement of fibrin and leukocytes. Okay, embolic lesions. Because of brittleness or because of tenderness of this vegetation, they get liable to detach in small bites causing embolism, and the various organs get affected like spleen, kidney, and brain. They forms non-suppurating foci in the various parts of the body. The bacteremia is usually demonstrable throughout the disease. Now, skin affections. Skin shows petechial hemorrhages, ecchymosis, that is the what is petechial hemorrhages? Hemorrhages under the skin which shows grayish and bluish, dark grayish bluish color. Ecchymosis, dark reddish brownish color patches showing the underneath the skin because of bleeding, because of hemorrhages. Then hemorrhages under nail bed called as sphincter hemorrhages. So these are the affections of skin. Then kidney. Again petechial hemorrhages on the surface of kidney giving flea bitten appearance, as if flea is bitten on any area like this. The appearance shows of the kidney, that is flea bitten appearance. Flu glomeruli undergoes necrosis as a result of red blood cells appears in the capsular region causing hematuria. Then infarction may occur in some cases. Spleen, because of infarction of spleen, it causes pain in that particular organ. Brain shows cerebral embolism and infarction. Why this infarction occurs in the spleen? Again, because of embolic lesions, embolic uh, phenomena. The splenic artery get blocked and there is infarction of the spleen. Like this, brain also shows the embolism and infarction of brain with hemiplegia. Then retina, embolism in central artery of retina causes hemorrhagic spots with pale center called as Roth spot. Intestine, embolism of superior or inferior mesenteric artery shows infarction in the loop of the intestine. So these are all embolic lesions. Okay, various organs shows this embolic lesions in case of subacute bacterial endocarditis. Then general lesions, cloudy swelling or fatty changes in the liver, kidney, and spleen, anemia, or rarely subacute combined degeneration of the spinal cord. Now, clinical features of subacute endocarditis, particularly clinical pathological features, particularly elderly. It happens in the elderly persons. The fever, if it is happens in the elderly persons, if elderly persons get affected, then there is fever. It may be slighted or absent, but manifestations, more characteristic manifestations, are of non-specific fatigueness, loss of weight, and flu-like syndrome. In acute endocarditis, that is bacterial endocarditis, we discussed priorly of this subacute bacterial endocarditis. The onset is stormy, rapid developing fever, chills, weakness, and lassitude. May followed with glomerulonephritis with hematuria. Okay, this glomerulonephritis occurs due to this impaction of this antigen antibody complexes in the capillary endothelium. So there is glomerulonephritis and there is hematuria and albuminuria, loss of albumins as the because of inflammation of glomerular capillary membrane, that the pore size increases and there is loss of albumins, and it gets followed with the renal failure. And murmur are present in 90% of cases. Okay, so these are the clinical pathological features of subacute and acute endocarditis. Now, the diagnostic criteria for infective endocarditis. Still, people are coming. Why so late? Why you are so late, students? Diagnostic criteria for infective endocarditis. The microorganisms get demonstrated by culture or by histologic examinations in vegetations or in extracardiac abscess. Okay, the histological confirmation of active endocarditis in again in vegetations or in extracardiac abscesses. What are extracardiac abscesses? That is in the spleen, kidney, anywhere in the or on the skin of this externally where this nodules get developed in that area also, the area get inflamed and there may be chances of getting abscesses. Okay, then so all about all this parts get this all the information about acute and subacute bacterial endocarditis is finished up to the diagnostic criteria. Okay, then the next part we are going to discuss next time is about hypertension. Okay. So today, please all the students go through this topic of endocarditis, that is rheumatic fever, about rheumatic fever, then about this could you hear me, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, okay. So this we are going to discuss later on with the hypertension, the topic of hypertension. Today you go through this endocardial lesions, that is rheumatic fever. Read about rheumatic fever. What are the etiological factors of rheumatic fever? What are the macroscopic changes and what are the macroscopic changes and microscopic changes with the heart, that is valvular endocardium, and what are the extracardiac lesions which occurs in the bacterial and subacute bacterial endocarditis. Okay, you have to differentiate between this rheumatic fever. What are the changes in rheumatic fever? The rheumatic fever, the rheumatic nodules, they get arranged on the valvular leaflets in the row like manner, but in the bacterial endocarditis, this vegetations or this nodules, they get clumped and they get formed in aggregated patchy areas on the valvular leaflets. So these are some differentiating points between this particular these are the differentiating points between this acute bacterial endocarditis, that is bacterial endocarditis, and subacute bacterial endocarditis. It has very rapid course. This bacterial endocarditis, it has very rapid course. But this subacute bacterial endocarditis, it should have any some predisposing factors like rheumatic endocarditis, or it may be with the congenital some heart diseases like this. They are the reasons for this subacute bacterial endocarditis. In acute bacterial endocarditis, there is no specific organism is given with this bacterial endocarditis. Any organisms causing this infection, that is boils, carbuncles, osteomyelitis, or any lung infection, pneumoconiosis, lung abscess, or the infections of prostate, uterus. It may be streptococcal, it may be staphylococcal, it may be pneumococcal infections can spread with this up to this endocardial lesions, that is up to the heart. Okay, so this is bacterial endocarditis, which is having very fast and rapid course. Here this bacterial endocarditis, the lesions, they are more destructive. In subacute bacterial endocarditis, the lesions, they are proliferative, forming large vegetations, and this subacute bacterial endocarditis, the lesions, they are moreover embolic lesions. Here, the ulcerative lesions and destructive lesions in case of bacterial endocarditis. So these are the some differences between this. It is very difficult to diagnose whether it is bacterial or whether it is subacute bacterial endocarditis. On account of history, we can diagnose this with detailed history. We can diagnose with this particular things, and also with the histology and macroscopic study. Okay, with the throat culture or with the culture of this lesions, we can find out which type of disease is this, as if it is bacterial or if it is subacute bacterial endocarditis. Subacute bacterial endocarditis, the organism is Streptococcus viridans. Okay, in case of rheumatic fever, what is the organism? The organism is of Streptococcus group A. So these are the these are some differences with this particular disease. So today we will end with this section, and please read and go through all these topics. Okay.
Ma'am, please send the PPT. Heart failure PPT also send.
Okay. I will send.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.